Hello, everybody. It's the Freaking Film Critic here with Andrew Elliott, or better known as 17R3W. How are you?
Very good. Thanks for having me.
Oh, no problem. This is the first time I've done this, so this is pretty cool. Alright. So, today we are going to be talking about The Social Network. I had a few conversations with Andrew on YouTube. It seems like he knows a lot more about The Social Network than I do. So I decided to have him on the show here and just sort of explain it all, because I'm actually very interested in it. So, what do you have for us?
First thing I was going to say is I've been a big fan of this since before it came out. There's a radio show, a podcast network actually called Twit, Speaking Tech, and they mentioned it probably a year ago, maybe even more than that, and it's written by the same guy who wrote The West Wing, and I'm a huge fan of that. So I've been sort of waiting all the time, and that's actually how I found your review. Is I just every day I search for whatever the newest stuff about The Social Network is. So I saw you, and then yeah.
Yeah, one thing that I loved about The Social Network was its writing. I really got to check out The West Wing now. My friend told me he watches The West Wing, so he said it was very good, very Aaron Sorkin-esque. So I'm planning on checking that one out.
Yeah, there's the other one that's really good too is Studio 60, which only lasted a season.
Yeah.
But you can see a lot of Studio 60 in The Social Network. There's actually some lines in there that are almost exactly the same. But like for example, Matthew Perry is in Studio 60, and there's a line where he says somebody was accusing him of stealing a script, and it said if he had written it, you would know because he would have written it, which is almost verbatim what Zuckerberg says in this movie.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, with the whole, like, if you had invented Facebook, you would have invented Facebook.
Exactly, and there's a few other lines like that. It's not really distracting, but if you've seen The West Wing or you've seen Studio 60, you'll sort of see that. The character Josh Lyman is sort of very much like Mark Zuckerberg. It's sort of a quick-witted, a little bit socially awkward character. I mean, the Mark Zuckerberg character is sort of more over the top than that.
Now, is this the one that came out a few years ago?
Yeah, Studio 60 came out in 2006. And
Yeah.
The West Wing went from 99 to 2006.
Because I remember like seeing billboards for that. I was like, "Is that the same show?" I was like, "Yeah." Turns out it was on the Sunset Strip, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I remember. My friend started watching it back then too. Yeah, my friend watches like a lot of Aaron Sorkin. I should catch up on this stuff.
Yeah, it's really good. And probably what he's most famous for is
Charlie Wilson.
Yeah, that one, but more so. It slips my mind now with Jack Nicholson. You Can't Handle the Truth. Good man.
I haven't seen that one yet. I want to really badly.
You know what? And it's funny. I didn't watch it till earlier this year. I'd never seen it myself because I would have been 10 when that came out. So it was, you get older and like, oh, okay, I want to see this now.
Yeah. I still haven't seen Lord of the Rings yet, believe it or not. So I'd see that. But I saw Psycho for the first time today, so that was pretty good.
The original or the remake?
Oh, the original.
Yeah.
Yeah. I heard the remake was like really just a shot-for-shot sort of thing. Like, you didn't really add anything to it. That's what I heard.
It's so hard to do a remake right because, I mean, if you change too much, people are disappointed. But if you don't change enough, it'll just be a shot-by-shot remake.
Yeah. It just ends up being like nothing. It's like, what's the point?
Exactly.
I guess that just adds to why remakes just shouldn't exist. Occasionally they're better than the original, but for the most part they're just not.
Occasionally, like I really like the Romeo and Juliet from the 90s with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh my god, I hate that one.
Oh really?
Yeah,
okay.
I could not stand that. I saw that in school actually, and
okay.
I just thought it just didn't fit at all because they kept using the ye old English style of speaking, and it just didn't fit. I couldn't take it. I don't know.
That's funny. See, because I hate West Side Story. West Side Story is essentially the same thing.
Yeah, I didn't like West Side Story either. I don't know. Maybe, maybe it's just because I'm a teen. I don't like Shakespeare right now. Maybe I'll appreciate him more later in life. But for now, I can't stand him. Like anything that relates to him. Yeah.
Yeah, I was reading something, and I wish I could remember where I was reading it, but it said, you really shouldn't read Shakespeare because it's a play. It doesn't necessarily translate well to a book, Like, because, scripts are written a lot differently than books are written.
Yeah.
Scripts are basically directions, where a book is sort of a narrative.
Yeah, but when I was younger, I always used to think, like, why is it so hard to make a book into a movie? Don't they have the book right there? Why not just use that? And it took me a while and I actually started reading screenplays, and I was realizing, oh, yeah, that's why. Because you have to put so much thought in the direction and everything like that. You have to write out the characters' movements and, just how they act and everything. It's Go ahead.
Oh, I'm just agreeing with you.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, that's interesting because I had actually listened to a abridged version of The Accidental Billionaires, which the Social Network is based on.
Oh.
And I've been listening to the full thing. I finally found the full thing from Audible.
Oh.
And it's interesting because there aren't a whole lot of changes, but most of the changes are just things for timing, because it's a 7.5-hour audiobook, and obviously the movie's
oh wow,
yeah. So like, do you remember the scene where they go to the Jewish frat?
Yeah, with the Hawaiian shirt thing.
Yeah, yeah. And in the book, that's also in the book, but he doesn't bring up the idea of Facebook at that time. I think it's just he brings it up later in his dorm room or something. But just for like timing, they just sort of combined the two scenes. And there's a lot of stuff like that. Like there really aren't a whole lot of big changes between the movie and the book. The biggest one is probably the very first scene with Erica Albright. That character isn't actually in the book.
Oh.
It just says like the blog that they read at the beginning was actually Mark Zuckerberg's blog in real life. Like it's verbatim what he said. But the book version says blank is a bitch, and then in the movie it's Eric Albright is a bitch. So
yes.
They just sort of
They just made like a new character. It's just to dramatize it, probably.
Yeah, I mean, and you can appreciate why you have to do that for a movie.
Yeah, I really like it when they can do that well. Sometimes they just dramatize things too much, and it just becomes like, okay, no. So, I don't know.
Yeah, you can go too far. It's really a fine line to tread, because not enough, and it's not an interesting movie. Too much, and you sort of lose touch with reality.
Yeah. So, what's up?
Not much. Did you have any other questions, or could I tell you a couple other different...
Go ahead, yeah. I'm just interested in hearing what you have to say.
The other thing is, actually, and I'm pretty close to the end of the book, there's this whole other thing where Zuckerberg invents another, it's not really a website, it's more of a program called Firehog, and it's pretty much his version of Napster, and they cut that out of the movie, but I can sort of see why, because it really isn't necessarily a story. Something that was sort of a big change was the sort of that third scene of the movie where he's making the Face Mash site. In the movie, it gets shut down like in 4 hours, and in the book, it's up for a few days. He actually forgets about it, goes about his business, goes to use his laptop a few days later and finds his laptop frozen.
Oh.
And it wasn't until then that it sort of dawned on him what had happened. So, but I mean, again, you can sort of see it's like a small change, and it's really more for pacing than anything else.
Yeah, it's. I guess it was just like just to speed up the movie a little bit more, probably.
Right.
Because they originally had the whole 3-hour runtime thing. They had to cut it down, so but they didn't, so that was good. They just had him talking a lot faster.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of interviews, and apparently, like the first scene was supposed to be 5 minutes and 45 seconds, and if they did it in 6 minutes, they were forced to do it over again because they had it all timed out exactly how fast it was supposed to go. Because it was, I think, a typical 2-hour movie was 120 pages, and
this was 160 pages. The amount,
yes,
yeah, almost 3 hours. I thought it was very impressive how they did that, because I'm sure like Jesse Eisenberg is just really talented. The way he can speak so quickly and deliver all those lines of dialogue so well, even though he knows he has to go so fast.
Yeah, I guess he has a theater background, which sort of makes sense.
Yeah.
What did you think of his performance?
I thought it was great. I thought it was probably, I think it probably was the best performance of the movie. He just sold that role of like just sort of this kind of this socially awkward kind of guy. Doesn't really know better, but at the same time he does. He's just a jerk kind of, but you sort of see that he does care at times as well, as you pointed out in one of the comments. I just thought he was really good.
Yeah, I think that, that's it. He really has a lot of depth to the character.
Mm-hmm.
It would be so easy to play Zuckerberg as sort of a strict bad guy. Like you can see that he definitely cares about Eduardo. He sort of doesn't know any better sometimes.
Yeah.
Like with the whole face mask thing, he just really didn't understand what he did wrong. It was sort of like so socially inept, he just didn't know better.
Yeah. And also that one scene where you see that he also cares for Eduardo is like the scene where they're inside the office, and it's the whole like the taking care of the chicken thing. Is like he never brought it up. He's like, "Oops, yeah," because it was never actually him that brought it up, but yeah, Eduardo chose to bring up his. I forgot what he brought up though. Do you remember?
Yeah, actually, it was the art thing. He made a Facebook page for his art project under a different name.
Oh yeah, so you could cheat. Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the other things. Like that wasn't actually part of Facebook. That was a whole other site. But like again, like it's such a small change. It really doesn't make a difference. But I think in the movie they really want to get from Face Mash to Facebook really quickly. Like I think they get to Face Mash within 10-15 minutes, and then I think Facebook's up and running within the first half hour.
Yeah.
Where in the book, the book, because it's so long, it's I can't remember, it's 1 hour or 2 hours, but it's pretty far ways in there before they even get to Facebook.
Well, yeah, because a book is always like trying to tell you everything about it. It's trying to be accurate and everything like that. And so, like, they're trying to give you all the details, so that's probably why it took so long to get there in the book.
Exactly, yeah. And the movie just is so perfectly paced. I don't know if they could have done it any better,
Yeah. So what do you think? You think it's going to get an Oscar nod? Probably, right?
I think so. I think, hopefully Best Writing.
Yeah, definitely. I do think it probably might win the Best Adapted Screenplay, since it's loosely based on the book. I'm blanking on everything. Billionaire sort.
Yeah. I think maybe, I don't know if he'll actually win, but I think Zuckerberg will